hell versus hell. You can't weigh it on the scale. You can't weigh it on the scale. Kamikaze. Kamikaze might just kill everybody. Kamikaze. Dropping bodies. Kamikaze go crazy everybody. I'm a king, bitch, and just hit the scene. Chasing after the green instead of my dreams by making her cream. Sex, magic, tactics, fucking her like she never had it. She a money manic, savage, lavish with the static. Bang, it's insane the way she popping into my name. Way she dropping it can't be tamed. She keeping it real with yin and yang. She addicted to the game, then I'm spitting in her brain. Steady aim, like Luke Kane. Got that fire, she make it rain. Oh, he must be grounded spirit, speaking for the tongue of Phoenix. Call me prophet of the Gothic. Watch it rearrange your logic on the throne. Can't be cloned, grown off that super strong. Call me wizard of the spirit, travel through to the etheric. Call me L, rich as hell. You can't weigh this on the scale. Sipping from the holy grail, snatching off your fucking veil. L, rich as hell. L, rich as hell. You can't weigh it on the scale. Weigh it on the scale. I see that which is hidden, close my eyes and I just listen. Twisted, having all these visions of my future, how I'm living. Heighten up the low vibration, sacred, while still in the matrix. Geometric constellations, spark my mind for conversation. It's the dawn of the marijuana, with that message on. And bless your yes, it's Metatron. Yes, I guess it's better. I do nine in the sky, swinging swords like samurai. Cause the bullshit and the lies, so that I could secret. Call me L, rich as hell. You can't weigh this on the scale. Sipping from the holy grail, snatching off your fucking veil. L, rich as hell. L, rich as hell. You can't weigh it on the scale. Weigh it on the scale. Bitch, I like the style. With all type of sounds, with all type of rounds. That'll knock it down. That'll knock it down. Knock it down. All type of sound. All type of sound. All type of round. All type of round. Bitch, I like the style. Out of space, homeostasis. You would think that we was laced. Prophecy, philosophy, equivalent to the Odyssey. Snatching off your fucking veil, sipping on the holy grail. You can't weigh this on the scale. L, rich as hell. Call me L, rich as hell. You can't weigh this on the scale. Sipping from the holy grail, snatching off your fucking veil. L, rich as hell. L, rich as hell. You can't weigh it on the scale. Weigh it on the scale. Kamikaze, spirit in the human body. Kamikaze, they think he Illuminati. Kamikaze, spirit in the human body. Kamikaze, they the new Illuminati. Yo, you already know who the fuck it is. We back in this bitch. We back in here. Hopefully everybody is paying attention. Not to the news, but to me. Why? Because I want to make this very clear. Anyone who is giving out false information or false predictions, separate yourself from them, including me. I am not exempt. So if anything comes out of my mouth and it is inaccurate, then separate yourself. I made the prediction. I made several predictions, but one of the predictions I made in early April, what I said was between the 13th and the 15th of April, things will begin to heat up. Now, I have the news articles right in front of us to show and prove if anything actually happened. Did I just make that up? Or was my basis factual? So if I cannot verify it with the actual article, so I'm not just going to say it, because when I originally made the prediction, I was just saying it based off of the alignments of the planets. But now we're going to seek verification
based on what is actually occurring on the planet, as well as the stars. So, we're going to take a look at a couple articles here and see if anything of significance happened, or what is just regular things and I just, that's if it's not valid, it's not going to be valid. There's no need for me to reach. So let me go ahead and prove the point. Because if I could say something is going to happen before it happens and it actually happens, then we have to listen more to the stars if they are allowing us insight that we otherwise would not have. So let's see if the stars were correct. Now, of course, I'll start with the mundane things. Then I'll get to the apex of what I feel is the most relevant based on the predictions that I made. So, what I do every morning, my morning ritual, the first thing I do, open up the phone, I'm looking at the news. I'm reading. I'm not looking at video. I'm reading. Everything that's released, I'm reading. And I say the articles that I feel are significant so that I can reference them later when I do videos such as these to clarify anything that was previously stated. So I'm going to scroll down a bit, and we're just going to go through what's essentially been happening the last 2 days, and we will come to our own conclusion. So the first thing I want to bring to your awareness is we have 22 million people filing for unemployment currently. We have here CNN right in the middle. U.S. marks highest number of deaths in a day after several days of a downward trend. And this came out yesterday, which was April 15th. So on April 15th, the U.S. had the highest numbers of deaths, or the highest number of deaths in one day. So that's the first thing I want to bring to your attention. So the most people died yesterday, April 15th. Right there. You can read the article yourself. We also have a lot of protests going on in Michigan, because obviously most people are staying at home. But of course, Michigan, the rebels, they actually started throwing up the Confederate flag and protesting in Lansing, Michigan, the capital of Michigan. So there's a lot of protests going on in Michigan, which we really have not seen elsewhere. But if we know anything about the history of Michigan, especially Detroit, and just the energy that's created there. And if you don't know, just look at me. This is my hometown, Detroit. So it is what it is. You see the darkness that emanates, but that darkness always comes in truth, putting you up on game instead of keeping the veil over your eyes. All right? So let's go. Also, we have CNN, left-hand side. Trump threatens to invoke, never use constitutional authority to adjourn Congress and push nominees through. So we also have in politics, never use constitutional authority. So now we're playing around with things that have not been done before. So on a political level, we will continue to see things that we literally have not seen before, but these things have already been in law, which is why we see the results we see. It's a lot of things that are written in law that we don't know nothing about until they actually are enacted right before us. But essentially, all of the politicians are following the law. They're not necessarily doing anything outside of the bounds of law. They are actually finding loopholes, you can say, within the law, but they are finding ways to operate within the law, not necessarily outside of the law, because you know what happens when you go outside of the law. So they find ways to operate within the law. But if the law itself is flawed, which it is, then this is not necessarily a hard thing to accomplish when the laws of the land itself are corrupt. Let's move on. We also have information being released that all large gatherings, especially sporting events, will be postponed to 2021. So the rest of 2020 is done in terms of large gatherings. That's finished, because every state will have its own rules and regulations in how they choose to go about regulating the people. New York has just announced recently that everyone must wear a mask. So now if you live in New York, you have to wear a mask. You actually will get fined if you do not. And this is recent. But once again, who was the one that told you that the helmet of Hades will be put on? Let's continue. Of course, over the weekend, we had wildfires. There also was I believe it was a plant that exploded, but no one was injured. There was no injuries. Let me actually stroll up to the top. Here we go. This insane video of paper mill explosion in Maine. No one was hurt yet. So this is what I was talking about here. This occurred yesterday. So yesterday, literally a paper mill exploded. No one was hurt, but we had an explosion. Okay? But who was the one that told you things are going to turn up? Of course, I didn't even mention the crazy weather that occurred. The tornadoes that just literally destroyed people's homes. So I didn't even mention that, but we'll mention that now. It has been crazy weather the last 2 days, just ripping up people's homes to pieces. In the midst of a pandemic, you have violent tornadoes tearing everything up. So not only do you have explosions, you have violent tornadoes. You had the most deaths in one day. And that's not even all. You also had protests. But there are still things left. Los Angeles County just released 4,000 inmates, which they are terming uncharted territory. Fox News right-hand side. We see it right here. Uncharted territory. So again, we see this language of uncharted territory being mentioned. 4,000 prisoners went home, which has never been done before. Also, we have the Treasury, the Washington Post, left-hand side. The Treasury orders Trump's name printed on stimulus checks. So now the checks will have his name on it, which he later said wasn't his idea because, of course, the media, made it seem as if he was just demonstrating arrogance when he said it wasn't even his idea. But we're not going to focus too much on that, because I haven't even got to the most magnificent event. I'm just speaking about the earthly things first. Because again, if I say something and it's not accurate, then you should not listen to anything I say. So here I'm giving you, this is all within the last 2 days. The way I'm reading, you think this is a whole month's worth of information. This is just the last 2 days. But it was already written in the stars. Let's continue. I don't watch the news. I haven't heard this information till you stated it. And that's exactly why I wanted to start bringing this type of direction or this type of current to my channel, because I know a lot of us are not into the news. Especially, you don't know what's real, what's fake. So I wanted to take it upon myself to help you to decode and decipher between the realities and what's fiction, and how you can actually utilize it as a tool to verify what you already feel within, what you can already see within the stars. So instead of the news informing you, all it does is verify what was already said. Because all I'm doing is verifying what I already said. I'm just giving you the information you can use yourself. But this has already been stated way before any of these things happened. So, of course, I have a lot of things here that I'm not mentioning that you, of course, can read yourself, because all of the news outlets are right above each article. So anything that I am not mentioning, you can look upon yourself. But once again, I have not even mentioned the most significant event. Just letting it be known, all this is just strictly earthly. All of these earthly happenings within the last 2 days. How was it able to be predicted ahead of time? Because once again, we're already in the middle of a pandemic. So we already thought we have seen the worst of it. However, we see the last 2 days have been it's really no words for it, right? It's really no, let me not even try to put a word to it. But things turned up nonetheless. And there's a reason why things turned up. Just go back to my April 2020 predictions when I first stated this, when I was showing the charts. There's also an article stating that things may not start to become normal till September. In my original April, I made my 2020 prediction. I have a video speaking about the 2020 predictions, not just the April 2020 predictions, but the overall yearly predictions. And in that video, I stated that things will begin to turn around towards the 9th month. Because I was also referencing the chart. I was just reading the chart in front of me. So whenever I'm speaking, I'm just reading what I see. There's no need to make anything up. Let us continue. Also, they discovered scientists suggest coronavirus could spread from corpses right here in the middle 2 days ago. So 2 days ago, they started speaking about the virus spreading from the bodies. It was also recently discovered in a nursing home. They had 17 bodies that they discovered. Actually, let me just go to the article so I can verify everything that I'm saying. 17 bodies were just found in a nursing home. They had just tucked them away in a nursing home morgue. They just tucked them away. And someone within the environment had to give the police a tip, and they discovered all these. It's literally bodies just being piled up all over the place. So I guess I may not have saved that, but we can go out of this particular section and just look at the overall news, and we'll bring it up then. Actually, let me just do that now, so that way I don't forget. So let me just go to Google News as it is. So I'll just go to the top stories, and I'm sure it'll pop up here. Okay, right here, ABC News, nursing home facilities now epicenter for COVID-19. So this is basically what I was referring to, where we have these nursing homes where there's just so many people dying, and of course the morgue and all of the people who deal with the funerary rites. There's just so many bodies. It's like they can't get to the bodies fast enough. So literally bodies are just stacking up and being piled up. They just cannot get to them fast enough. We have not experienced this many people dying so rapidly before. So it's literally, you just can't keep up. Like I'm sure they're working around the clock. There is no off days for those who are within the funerary rites. Funerals are going on constantly. So all of those happenings, there's no way to deal with it like we would usually deal with it. But again, I want to get to the article that I mentioned. Yeah, it's really... Actually, I'll do it now because I have it on my phone. It literally just pops right up when I open my phone. So let me save this to the phone right now. Now I can refresh the page and it'll literally pop right up. So just give me a second. Again, I don't want to quote anything that I cannot verify. So let me go out of my way to verify this. Now, while I'm saving that, I'm going to show you the most significant event that occurred. So out of everything that happened, there's something that happened way more profound than anything I mentioned. Now you could ask, how is that possible? Okay, here's the article here. Okay, I saved the article, so I should be able to refresh this and it shows. There it is. So here we are, left-hand side. After anonymous tips, 17 bodies are found at nursing home hit by virus. New York Times. So there's the article that I was just referring to. There's just so many bodies. The backlog is incredible. So yeah, so there's literally, there's no telling when people would actually get to the morgues and get in the ground. It's really something that, it's pretty necromantic. But that's one of the forbidden arts, necromancy. You're not supposed to be doing anything with that, right? But it seems to me that that's just not the case. But let's not get too deep into that. Let's get to the most profound event. Just take a sip of water. Okay. Right here. Astronomers just discovered the brightest supernova ever seen. 3 days ago, so that would have been April 13th. So let me go into the article just to verify it. So we see right here, let me highlight the date, April 13th, 2020. There it is, April 13th, 2020. Astronomers just discovered the brightest supernova ever seen. Ever seen. Meaning this has never happened before. So on April 13th, they discovered the brightest supernova that has ever been seen before. Let's read a little bit of the article, shall we? To give more dimensions to this. A supernova brighter and larger than any other on record has been discovered by scientists at a Center for Astrophysics. A supernova brighter and larger than any other on record. So here's some imagery. They said it was so bright, the light lasted for 2 years. The light was so bright, it lasted for 2 years after the star had died, because the star is about 40 million light years away from us. So when we see the light, obviously the star has already died and it traveled, and we see it as a response or a reaction. It was so bright for 2 whole years. Yeah, they had to put that ad in there, right? They just had to put that ad in there, of course. So, again, you guys could read this yourself if you want more insight, but I just want to bring it to your awareness. So after everything that I just mentioned on Earth, this occurred in the stars April 13th. Exactly the day I said it would. So these events between April 13th and April 15th. So I just wanted to give the evidence and the verification of what I've already said. in what I've already predicted. But now we have the evidence. So if my words were not enough, if the astrology was not enough, if the occult was not enough, let the articles be enough. And here's actually the name that they call it. So they named it this. I guess 𝔬𝔪𝔬𝔪, however you say it. 𝔬𝔪𝔬𝔪, however you say it. Again, if I'm saying it wrong, forgive me. So this is what they actually named it. The first interstellar visitor to our solar system. The first interstellar visitor to our solar system. So this came from outside of our solar system, and now it is within our solar system, which is why they call it interstellar. 𝔬𝔪𝔬𝔪. I'm just thinking of ways to pronounce it, the possible ways that this can be said. 𝔬𝔪𝔬𝔬. 𝔬𝔪𝔬𝔬, who knows? However it's said, the first interstellar visitor to our solar system. So this is the very first. April 13th, the very first interstellar penetrated into our solar system. Then we ask, well, why has all this madness been occurring on Earth? Now this can give us some type of insight as to why. So if the astrology was not enough, then let the astronomy lead the way. So now we have the astronomy verifying the astrology, which verifies the earthly happenings. So with that, I'll play some music. Then if anyone has any questions, I'll come back, answer any questions. For those who will be leaving after this, I appreciate the viewership. Definitely check out the website, 𝔓𝔯𝔬𝔪.com. And we shall return.
ℏ𝔬𝔪𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬𝔬
Dollar signs flashing through my mind, flashing through my mind, flashing through my mind. Dollar signs flashing through my
Meezy, you a fool for this one.
Look who just entered the room. This is a legion of doom. Off of that fire and shrooms. Triple D, we from safe from the noon. Let the bitches start pimping on life. For water with ice and I blink in your sight. For West Indies lights be as bright as a night. We at night, we inviting them shadows of light. Oh, you don't know I'm a gypsy? I spray your whole block with graffiti. You saying so hard but can't see me? Cause I'm a no black with a beanie. I'm a no black with a beanie. I'm a no black with a beanie. Face I be ghost, you would think I was genie. Thought I was relic the blue Lamborghini. We forgot this planet. 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 I like the way that you be out. She like the way that I be down. I'm liking the way that you smile. She want it right here and right now. Want it right here and right now. Want it in front of the crowd. Want it in front of the crowd. Wanna fuck me right here and right now.
I'm the king around here, and don't you forget it.
are back. Yes, this is definitely my music. Yes, it's definitely my. Of course, you know, no one else is gonna be speaking that type of. You know, there's a certain vibe. Exactly. You know, I have to bring you guys the purity, right? Yeah, I know that shit is hard as fuck. Yeah, it is hard. I'm gonna play it again. Let me play this shit again. I'm gonna play it again. Just in case you didn't, just in case you didn't listen. Just in case, let's play it again. Let's play it again. Just because it's original, you can't hear it anywhere else. You can't Google this. This is ungoogleable. This is the only place you can hear it. Let's go.
𝔓𝔬𝔢𝔮.
Dollar signs flashing through my mind, flashing through my mind, flashing through my mind. Dollar signs flashing through my
Meezy, you a fool for this one.
Look who just entered the room. This is a legion of doom. Off of that fire and shrooms. Triple D, we from the noon. Let the bitches start pimping on life. For water with ice and I blink in your sight. For West Indies lights be as bright as a night. We inviting them shadows of light. Oh, you don't know I'm a gypsy? I spray your whole block with graffiti. You saying so hard but can't see me? Cause I'm a no black with a beanie. I'm a no black with a beanie. I'm a no black with a beanie. Face I be ghost, you would think I was genie. Thought I was relic to blue Lamborghini. We forgot this planet. 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 I like the way that you be out. She like the way that I be down. I'm liking the way that you smile. She want it right here and right now. Want it right here and right now. Want it in front of the crowd. Want it in front of the crowd. Wanna fuck me right here and right now.
I'm the king around here, and don't you forget it.
You all right. Yeah, I got all type of stuff, man. I got all type of stuff, all types of beats. You know what I mean? You know, we got a lot of time to create now, so I'm definitely taking advantage. But I make sure to reach out and put everybody up on game. You know, so I break away from the creative acts to show and prove. I know I'll be singing that for the rest of the day. Yeah, it's just something about the purity. You know what I mean? It's like, we all be thinking about that shit. But everybody ain't saying it. You know what I mean? Because everyone is in their realm in terms of hip hop. Like, whatever your lifestyle is, that's what you're going to speak. So, everything that was said and everything that is said, as you see, it's verifiable. All of my words are verifiable because that's my lifestyle. I'm just putting my life, the same thing that everyone else does. I'm just giving you the occult perspective. And with the occult perspective, you see, it allows you to go further. So I'm going to play the 𝔏𝔢𝔱'𝔰 again. I'll play it again. And I continue to play these songs because I put so much into them that it renews your spirit. These are alchemical works. It's like reading books, but it's not boring because you know, what is it? KRS-One, edutainment, right? Edutainment, being able to educate while you entertain. I appreciate that. You bringing new meaning to the underground. I appreciate that. And that's exactly what I strive to do, to bring a new set of skills to the table. There's not really many occultists in hip-hop. Now, of course, I'm not saying I'm about to come in and change hip-hop. You know, this is all a manifestation from within. This is purely for the love. The only money I want from anyone is me rendering a service. Anyone who wants to support, allow me to render you a service. 𝔏𝔢𝔱'𝔰. That's it. You know, proper business, professional business. But let's get to some more music. Let's just continue to play my own music. Again, there's nowhere else to hear it. And I know that there's no way to match the frequency. I'm not saying that I'm better. There's no winning an argument of who's better, who's the best. So we're not going to get into that. That's why I focus more so on the vibes and the energy that it emanates. There we go. I have to get the word out. The energy that it emanates. See, I have to say it with force. If I don't say it with force, it's not going to come out properly. And that's what I mean. It's like I'm getting real passionate. The energy it emanates. Once the energy is emanated, then it's all good. So I want everyone to listen to the words. Why? Because that's the thing of the past. Do I want to say of the past? I don't want to say that there is no lyricism in hip hop. Of course, there is lyricism all over the place, but not like this. Because I guarantee they do not live the lifestyle of a practitioner. And everything is on camera. I'm not going to say the whole lifestyle, but you guys have seen me all over the place. So everything is documented. So everything is verifiable already. All you got to do is go to the channel. Everything is already verified. So, way back then. Let's get to the music. We're just talking. We're just talking now. Whatever. Let's get back to the music. Then we'll say the final words and continue to give the game that needs to be given. The chaos magic.
Hell versus hell. You can't weigh it on the scale. You can't weigh it on the scale. Kamikaze might just kill everybody. Kamikaze, dropping bodies. Kamikaze goes crazy everybody. I'm a king, bitch, and just hit the scene. Chasing after the green and stuff my dreams by making her cream. Sex, magic, tactics, fucking her like she never had it. She a money manic, savage, lavish with the static. Bang, it's insane the way she popping into my name. Way she dropping it can't be tamed. She keeping it real with yin and yang. She addicted to the game that I'm spitting in her brain. Steady aim, like Luke Kane. Got that fire, she make it rain. Oh, he must be grounded spirit, speaking for the tongue of Phoenix. Call me prophet of the Gothic. Watch it rearrange your logic on the throne. Can't be cloned, grown off that super strong. Call me wizard of the spirit, travel through to the etheric. Call me L, rich as hell. You can't weigh this on the scale. Sipping from the holy grail, snatching off your fucking veil. L, rich as hell. L, rich as hell. You can't weigh it on the scale. Weigh it on the scale. I see that which is hidden. Close my eyes and I just listen. Twisted, having all these visions of my future, how I'm living. Heighten up the low vibration, sacred. While still in the matrix, geometric constellations. Spark my mind for conversation. It's the dawn of the marijuana. With that message on. So yes, it's better. Yes, I guess it's better. I do nine in the sky, swinging swords like samurai. Cause the bullshit and the lies so that I could synchronize. Call me L, rich as hell, you can't weigh this on the scale. Sipping from the holy grail, snatching off your fucking veil. L, rich as hell, L, rich as hell, you can't weigh it on the scale. Weigh it on the scale. Bitch, I like the style, with all type of sounds, with all type of rounds, that'll knock it down, that'll knock it down, knock it down. All type of sound, all type of sound, all type of round, all type of round. Bitch, I like the style, out of space, homie your states, you would think that we was laced. Prophecy, philosophy, equivalent to the Odyssey. Snatching off your fucking veil, sipping on the holy grail. You can't weigh this on the scale. L, rich as hell. Call me L, rich as hell. You can't weigh this on the scale. Sipping from the holy grail, snatching off your fucking veil. L, rich as hell. L, rich as hell. You can't weigh it on the scale. Weigh it on the scale. Kamikaze, spirit in the human body. Kamikaze, they think he Illuminati. Kamikaze, spirit in the human body. Kamikaze, they the new Illuminati.
Yeah. Tell me that's not 100% facts. So that's what makes it so powerful. That's what makes the music so powerful. You're like, oh, he actually is that. And it's verifiable, right? So there's no way for me to rap about anything other than what I actually have experienced, right? Then when you see the 1,000 pieces of content, it's all there for everyone to observe. So getting back to the knowledge, we see that it's infinite. What I'm doing is demonstrating the versatility of the knowledge. Of course, anyone can make music. Anyone can step into a room, record their voice on a microphone behind a beat. Anyone can do that, of course. All right, let me get this craziness off the screen. I'm pretty sure you guys are tired of looking at these stupid ass faces. Let me get this shit off the screen. And let's look at something more. Yeah, whatever. Let's type in something worth looking at. Let's type in something more artistic. Let's type in symbolic art for those who may be unfamiliar with the 19th century movement, the art movement of symbolism, for those who may be unfamiliar. Yeah, that's a lot more appealing, right? Something's for you to meditate on. All right, so that's a little bit better. Okay, yeah, so we'll leave it there. What I'm doing is showing forth the versatility in which the occult provides. Again, anyone can record their voice rhythmically over a beat. But we know it's all about the substance in which they can produce, which is determined by how attuned or in tune they are with the etheric forces that are unseen. Can you literally pull words out of thin air and capture them and place them strategically over a beat? As we know, true, pure hip-hop heads know there's a purity in the art. And you can feel it, you can see it, you can analyze the rhyme patterns, it's there. So even if you're talking about irrelevancy, it can be felt in how you structure it and piece it together. The intricacy of your wordplay and styles will show forth even if your subject matter is surface. However, when you are able to do that and take your subject matter beyond the surface, then it's undeniable. Hip hop has always been about knowledge. If you go back to the essence of it, it has always been about knowledge. So whenever you place knowledge over a beat, you are performing hip hop correctly. And because hip hop is a energy, hip hop is a spirit. Hip hop is not a record contract or what someone can give you physically. Hip hop will take you all over the place. When you show forth your allegiance, and I'm just using hip hop as an example, whatever your culture may be. When you show forth your allegiance, you are rewarded. This is what spiritual currency is. Spiritual currency, you are rewarded for your allegiance, not religious worship. So I'm not speaking about getting on your knees and asking and begging for anything. What I mean by showing forth your allegiance, you are dedicated to fully materializing your mind. When you are dedicated to fully materializing your mind, so that there is nothing that you cannot see, nothing that you cannot do, all of these things are simply points that need to be connected. The mind is individual points that need to be connected. We need to synchronize the multiple dimensions of the mind, which we went further into yesterday about the actual etymology of the mind. As we know now, it's more, or it's beyond just the intellect. But that was yesterday's lesson. So all I strive to do is introduce you to knowledge. And because we are the ultimate form of alchemy, it's not about what you possess, it's about you. When you are the alchemist, you yourself are the subject. You yourself have to go through the fire. You're not putting something else through the fire. You yourself have to go through the fire so that your consciousness is purified. So the objective of the alchemist is purification of consciousness, which is what you see when you watch the Star Wars movie, The Jedi, who were strictly focused on mastery of the Force, you can say. Their only objective was mastery over the Force, the positive aspects of the Force, while the Sith Lords wanted to master the negative aspect of the Force. But the common denominator was the Force and the dual nature of the Force. This is the most hardest to accept. When we have been taught a certain way, the positive way, the right way, the good way, and to stay away from the negative, the bad, so on and so forth. You're not supposed to have any dealings with that energy at all. What we call demons, devils, so on and so forth. You're supposed to separate yourself. The forbidden arts, you're not supposed to practice them. You're not supposed to communicate with the dead. You're not supposed to perform elemental divination. These are things you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to read the stars. You're not supposed to do these things. All these things are in association with devils, demons, Satan, Lucifer, whatever the title is. Anything that has to do with you knowing who you are, breaking the hold that religion has, is forbidden, because you are forbidden to break the chains off of your consciousness, which serves its purpose if you want to live within a matrix, and a lot of people do. Which is why it's not about people need to wake up, or people will wake up in their own time. Just like in the Matrix movie, if you remember the adversary of Neo, he actually wanted to live within the Matrix. He sold out his own people because he wanted to be within the Matrix. rewatch the movie, the one guy betrayed them all because he wanted to, just have the resources of the earth. He wanted to eat his steak. He wanted to have his women, his money, so on and so forth. He's like, maybe that's not so bad. Here I am, we're living on a spaceship fighting machines, living in poverty and shit, eating tasteless food, when I can just inject myself into the matrix and have anything that I wish, even though it's a fabrication, but it's a real stimulation. So these are the principles that were already shown forth. So we have the people who choose to activate the stimulation, who clearly see the other side. It's not that they don't know, that they don't see, that they don't understand. They see and know the other side, but they choose to take the blue pill, essentially. There are those who willingly take the blue pill and who have to deny the red pill. It's not that they just, their brain isn't big enough to comprehend. They know exactly what's going on, but they have to uphold the blue reality. Just as a reference, they have to uphold the stimulation in which it's created to give them the experience that they visualize. Because the red pill, as we continue to see as the Matrix evolved, Neo essentially had to destroy the entirety. He had to rid the Matrix of Agent Smith, who had completely destroyed the Matrix. He had, he was a virus that completely destroyed the system and was getting taken over. So he had to sacrifice himself at the end in order to destroy the virus. So in the end, he actually sacrificed himself in order to rid the Matrix of the virus called Agent Smith, which turned the war off between the machines and the humans. So the war ended because essentially the cause of the war was due to a virus, if you understand those terms. The machines had a virus that Neo had to heal, and once the virus was healed, the machines stopped killing the humans. That's essentially what it was showing forth. So now that we are coming into the reality of AI, and we are coming closer and closer to being able to generate our own realities physically, where you don't have to rely on the dream world, because it's hard to actually study and visualize your dreams. It's not easy to do. So people prefer a stimulation in which they can pay for. So we will have the people who prefer that. We will have the people that I'm not going through dream yoga. I'm not practicing all these physical acts just to dream. I'm going to just take this shot and get the stimulation. They would prefer the synthetic experience over the natural experience, because the natural experience requires discipline. And that's what I mean when I say you have to be dedicated to what you pledge allegiance to, because it takes discipline to operate within the boundaries of the occult. What do I mean? The occult doesn't make you above anyone. It actually takes you underneath the earth. What do I mean? This is the thing. You don't need the occult to achieve any worldly thing. The occult is not needed. That's why we have people in very high positions and have no knowledge of the occult. You don't need the occult to achieve any position in life. That's not needed. The occult takes you underneath reality, which is why it's not attractive to most people. Most people may use it as to try to advance themselves. This is what I'm trying to say. Most people will use it to advance themselves physically. However, they are limited in their understanding of its potential because they have not been shown any other way, which is basically what Agent Smith was. If we go back to the movie The Matrix, Agent Smith actually tried to escape the Matrix. If we understand his position, Agent Smith, the virus, after he took over the Matrix, he was bored. He was like, there's nothing else for me to do. I'm limited. I need to escape the Matrix. So he basically tried to escape the Matrix through Neo. And he actually was able to inject his consciousness into a host. I believe in the second Matrix movie, Agent Smith actually projected his consciousness into one of the physical beings in the movie that had to be killed later on. Yeah, he actually did project his consciousness into a being. But eventually he conquered or mastered the Matrix, and he wanted more. He was hungry to literally conquer the whole world. And that's why the virus needed to be destroyed. So if we look at the parallels between that movie and what's occurring right now, there was literally nothing more for the world to do in terms of the human population. What more could have been done? Everyone wants to dominate the land for space, wars, competition, so on and so forth. The morals and the principles have completely been colonized out of the reality of what's actually occurring beneath the surface. We have been painted or given a stimulation which is not real. This stimulation of this 9 to 5 reality, and everything's going to be okay long as you do the right thing and be a good person. We've been fed this false reality that now is dissolving because it was not based in reality. It was a stimulation. Now everyone is feeling like Agent Smith. Look at the parallels. Now everyone feels like Agent Smith, trapped within the Matrix, hence trapped in their homes, and just dying to escape. But you can't because it's a fucking virus outside. But these are the parallels in which we see. Because the virus are the humans themselves. Not the humans, but the virus is contagious. So it can spread very rapidly. So we have to stay away from each other. Just like Agent Smith, he was able to spread rapidly within the Matrix. He can take over any consciousness, as we observed throughout the Matrix movies. He was able to take over people's consciousness rapidly. So the similarities of coronavirus and the Matrix are there. And all these things are coming to me as I speak. This is not something that I'm reading or I premeditated. Like, all these things are coming as I'm speaking, as they are relevant. So everyone feels like Agent Smith. So who was able to dominate Agent Smith? Who was able to conquer the virus? The one who sacrificed themselves. The Neo. The sacrifice. We know Neo to be like neo-paganism. The Neo was like the rebirth of the old. Rebirth of the old. So Neo in the first Matrix movie had to take bullets to his chest before he realized that he was God of his own consciousness. He had to die in the first movie and be resurrected to come into his power. Then the second time that he died, there was no resurrection. That was it. So from the time of his first resurrection, he was destined to die because he was already operating strictly from the spirit. He had been resurrected. So the self-sacrifice we know is associated with Pisces, which the sun is in Pisces right now, according to Eastern astrology, not Western, Eastern astrology. So this whole time period, Easter is actually taking place in Pisces, Eastern-wise, which is more correlated to the Jesus figure than Aries. moving on, the more and more we break down these codes that have already been revealed, we become the Neo. It's studying what has already been revealed. What has already been revealed? And has it been mastered? Again, the pyramids have been here, but we still haven't cracked the code. But we're trying to advance ourselves without cracking the code, which is the point. There is no advancement till you crack the code. What we're doing, we're trying to separate ourselves. Again, this is what we do in modern science. We try to separate ourselves from which we don't understand, as if it's not relevant, call it pseudoscience, then talk about advancement. Like, oh, fuck the past. We don't get it, so it's pseudoscience. There's no way to comprehend it, so it's just label it pseudoscience. There's no verification. We can't prove it. So we're going to stick to what we actually can prove, what we actually can verify, and actually try to advance from there. But is that truly advancement? Is that real advancement when you ignore the past and focus strictly on the future as if the past did not occur? Well, that's what has been occurring already in the 21st century. And this is why we are experiencing what we are experiencing now, where we thought we were so progressive. We thought we were so advanced. We thought we were so ahead of the times. When in reality, the more and more we ignore nature, the more and more we ignore the science which has already been instilled into the earth. Then we encounter things like this. This is just a manifestation of a lack of knowledge of nature and the earth. Because if we had that knowledge, this would not have happened. Even if we go to the Black Plague in Europe, which was a result of not having proper hygiene, not knowing that you should not sleep side to side with animals, so on and so forth. It just was no established order. So from the chaos, you had the Black Plague, because there was no knowledge. The knowledge did not come to the Moors, came to Europe and resurrected Europe from the Dark Ages. So before that, there was no law and order. So from this point, we have to understand what has already been established, which is why I always state you must understand the spirits of the land in which you roam. Even if you are not from the lands in which you occupy, you still must pay respects to the land if you are hoping to have power on the land. Because the power comes from the earth. You understanding how the earth works, not you understanding how business work. This is where the confusion. Everyone's like, how does business work? Business, how does the law work? And has no idea how the earth works. We want to take a college course on business and have no idea about the seasonal nature of the city in which we occupy. I mean, if you don't even understand the astrology of your city, which predicts the weather, meaning you can know the weather before everyone else knows. You don't have to rely on the news or the weather forecast like everyone else, because you are in tune with nature. So you can see it before it happened, and you can make the proper plans and not have to suffer like everyone else. They can only predict when it's already about to smash. You saw it weeks ahead of time. That is the difference between false advancement and real advancement. And because we were so invested in false advancement, nature had to show forth its power. Like, you're not going to kick me out of the equation. We essentially were trying to kick nature out of the equation. We were just polluting the earth, not caring, not giving a fuck, just doing whatever we want, trying to advance these false narratives of what we believe ourselves to be. We're so busy advancing our own arrogance. We literally was making the earth our own sacrifice. We made the earth a sacrifice to our own advancement, our own false advancement, not real advancement, false advancement. The earth became a sacrifice for false advancement. So because we did not take the time to understand the earth and its cycles, when the earth goes through one of its grand cycles, because the earth has yearly cycles, 10-year cycles, 100-year cycles, 1,000-year cycles, 10,000-year cycles, 100,000-year cycles. When we don't know anything about that, then we cannot predict when these things are to occur. Coronavirus was predicted. Can be predicted. Anything, any event that has ever occurred on this planet, there was a way to predict it and to prepare it before it happened. And there was always those who did, because this has always been on the earth. There were always those who did exactly what I'm speaking about, because there was never a time when this knowledge was not on the earth. It has always been there. There's never a time where it was not. So people have always done this the whole time. It's only till recently that we wanted to disconnect ourselves from nature and make this false advancement. Whereas now we literally have to take a step back due to nature, not due to a person, due to nature. Nature is forcing us to take a step back because she will no longer be a sacrifice to our own greed. So now everything that we were trying to advance with our ego must be advanced with the alter ego. Whatever you were trying to do with your ego, now you have to do it with your alter ego, which is completely different than your ego. But let me verify that. So I'm going to pull it up on screen and we'll close it out after this. I'll pull up the definition of ego and the definition of alter ego. In the meantime, we'll take a few minutes, play some tunes, and we'll be right back. Hell yeah. It's like riding out to the sunset, right? Hell yeah, that's that Wild Wild West shit. When you get real deep, up close and personal, like really talking that talk. Real up close, real intimate, right? Talk real smooth and intimate. All right, let's get to it. What we have before us, we have the definition of ego. By 1707 in metaphysics, the self, that which feels, acts, or thinks. From Latin, ego, I. Now, from 1894, we also have the sense of conceit. Oh, actually, 1891. So in the 19th century, that's when it began to be referred to as conceit. So what we know ego as today, as we say, oh, this person is egotistical. That's how it's used today. But the ego, based on its original manifestation, reference the self. So all this, you need to destroy your ego, humble your ego, all this is modern terms. Has nothing to do with the original manifestation of what the ego is, which is why I want to clarify it. There's nothing negative about the ego, the self, that which feels, acts, or thinks. But there's more. What is not always spoken about, the alter ego, which is not the subconscious. The alter ego. What is the alter ego? Why isn't the alter ego spoken about? Let's see what it is. It says here, second self, counterpart, 1530s. From Latin phrase used by Cicero. A second self, a trusted friend. Compare Greek, allos, ego. Second self, counterpart, trusted friend. Doesn't that sound like what a spirit would represent? Your holy guardian angel, your higher self, right? They don't say second self, they say higher self. But where the fuck does that come from? Let me take you back to the origins. Like again, all these words you just splash out their mouth, and there's no context behind it. Let me give you the proper context. The so-called higher self is the second self, your counterpart, your trusted friend. An ego outside of yours. So it's like you can have a full conversation with this person, and you like, oh, I'm not just talking to myself. This is not ego talking to ego. This is ego talking to alter ego, which is your second self, which is completely different than the ego. And in psychology, analytical astrology, you are essentially attempting to build a relationship with your alter ego. Get familiar with your alter ego, which you do so through meditation, dreams, hypnosis, so on and so forth. Let's look up alter, because we have the word alter within alter ego. So what does alter mean? Because we know we have altar and we alter. You have the altar in which you place the spiritual items on. Then you have the altar, which something is transmitted. But let's look up the actual etymology. Let's not just rely on the definition. What is the source? And again, I'm just doing it right in front of everybody just to show you how easy it is to verify the information. We don't have to rely on anything. We can just go right to the verification, go right to the etymology, go right to the definition, so there is no confusion. So that we're not speaking things and we don't really know what we're saying. So when we speak, we are using words properly so that your reality changes in accordance to the words you use. When you use words properly, your reality reflects the proper use of words. Most of us just know definitions. We don't know the sense or the essence of a word. We don't know the spiritual essence of words, which we get from etymology, which is a completely different study than definitions. It's a whole field of study going into linguistics, language, literature, the things that'll put the average person to sleep. But it gives us so much more intimacy because etymology gives us the years in which we can reference, so we can give it a sense of time. Okay, what was going on in the 19th century, 15th century, whatever it is, we can correlate information to further our research and give it proper context. And with the proper context, with the established context, we can truly identify the essence of what a word is. So it takes time to get to the essence of the word because you have to study the culture in which it manifested from. Okay, what was the culture in which manifested the word? What did it mean to them? And that's what we get through etymology. What did it mean to them versus what does it mean now? So let us read the definition. Late 14th century. To change. Make different in some way. The other. To become otherwise. Is that not the purpose of mastering your mind, to change it in some way? Is that not the purpose of alchemy, to change, to transmute, to transform? So the alter ego is the perfect catalyst for the ego to transmute itself. And that's what they're truly talking about when they say you need to destroy your ego or dissolve your ego. The ego must be integrated with the alter ego or the second self, because the second self allows change to occur. The ego learns the arts of change, the forbidden arts, from the alter ego. But you must establish that bridge of communication. And you see, once we put it in the proper terms of psychology, you see there is no confusion left. We're using plain English. It doesn't have to be, well, it can mean 7 different things. It means exactly what that means. And we have a whole field of science to verify it. So there's no confusion. So what I am attempting to do is just to alleviate any confusion from what we call spirituality, the occult, so on and so forth. It can all be verified with science and mathematics. Not with books necessarily. We have to piece it together ourselves. So just like I showed you, I had to piece all this together myself. There is no book reference. I literally have to show you guys piece by piece because I'm doing this on my own. So I have to show you the astrology. Then I'm showing you the news articles. Then I'm showing you the etymology. Then I'm showing you the symbolism and the art, so on and so forth. I have to present all of these things separately because I'm putting them together on my own. There is no reference that, okay, well, what book did you read to get? There is no book. I am the book showing you the pages in real time. I'm showing you the pages in real time. There is no other way to get it. The living manifestation of what you would get from a book. But you see, there are multiple dimensions that have to be investigated in order to fully understand and comprehend what is truly right in your face. Everything is right in your face, but it depends on how deep your consciousness is. That determines your understanding, your drawing up in which you see. Everyone can see anything. Everyone can say, oh, that's a cat, that's a brown dog, that's a white cat. We can see things and verify what it is. But depending on your level of depth will determine what it is that you get from what you see. Everyone knows, oh, that's a black cat. Then some person, oh, that means bad luck. Then another person, oh, that's a cat totem. Well, let me be a lot more mysterious right now. Everybody's going to take it different. Well, most people's going to keep it surface. Oh, it's just a cat. Then the superstitious people are they don't want nothing to do with the cat. The spiritualists, okay, let me know that's a logos. So the logos is speaking to me. Let me actually respond accordingly to the logos. It all depends on how deep your consciousness has gone, what you get from what's right in front of you. So when they say it's hidden in plain sight, it truly is. Only when you deepen your level of consciousness do you truly see what's right in front of you. Do you truly understand the symbols in which is right? Everything is right in front of us. Every business has a symbol. But if you are not a symbolist, if you don't understand what the symbols mean, then you're not really understanding what you're looking at. Everyone has their favorite places where they shop or used to shop, whatever. But how many people truly understand what the symbols mean? Why is that your favorite place to shop? You probably don't even know why. Oh, I like this place. Don't even know why. Don't even know what messages are being sent from the symbol. Don't even know why. Do you think people understand why they like Starbucks so much? Is it a mystery why Starbucks has lines around the corner and why they stay in business, why they stay popping? Is it really a mystery? For most people, it is. Because they don't understand the symbol in which they look at. They don't understand what that symbol means. That symbol has a whole history behind it, which is never spoken about, but it's right there in your face. But they don't speak about it. All these symbols are right in our face, but it's never spoken about. But it's there, letting you know exactly what it is for those who have the eyes to see. Other than that, I like this place. Let me just spend all types of money here, and you feel good about it because it gives you good vibes. You just don't understand why. Oh, it's just good vibes in here. Don't know why though. The occult gives you the why. So once again, let me get these faces off of the screen. Give you something more artistic to look at. You see the difference between what we call reality and the actual reality? You see the difference? Like, this is plain ass shit on the screen, ads and whatever the fuck. Then you see some real ass shit like this. There's no comparison. There's no comparison. Something that actually has depth behind it. Something that actually makes you think. Something that actually takes you into an alpha brainwave state instead of a fucking ad, which is all about extracting money out of you. This doesn't want your money. This just requires your meditation. That's spiritual currency. All you need is your meditation. All I need is your meditation. If you just meditate to what I'm saying, you will advance. Regardless if you spend money or not, all you need is meditation. All I need from you is meditation, which they call attention. It's the greatest currency, right? But it's about what is within these dimensions of attention. What is within the dimensions of the intention? Because there's a difference between intention and attention. Most people don't know the difference. But we have etymology behind us. Let's use it. See, once we know the secrets of these words, there's no confusion. Attention, a given heed. Active direction of the mind upon some object or topic. Right? To stretch towards. To stretch. The real meaning is to stretch. How many people knew that shit? Exactly. So you got to go a little deeper to get to the essence. To stretch. What's being stretched? What is being projected? Consciousness. Attention is the stretching of consciousness. That's what attention is, to stretch your consciousness. So when you are giving something your attention, it is stretching your consciousness. Now, based on the depth of your own consciousness and also the consciousness in which you are giving your attention to, that determines the quality of the experience. Which is why one person can study an animal and learn a new form of martial arts. And someone else just looks at, oh, that's a nice tiger. That's a nice bear. Then someone else create a whole fighting style based off the bear. Like I watched the bear for 9 months and I patterned myself after the bear and I develop a whole style, some crazy shit, right? The only difference between those two people are states of consciousness. We all have the potential to study anything and develop something new. So when the object that you place your attention upon allowed your imagination to stretch further than what it was, then that gives you more potential to activate your own forces. Because all we need to do is understand how this shit works. Everyone talks in circles. Everyone talks in fucking circles. Who's talking straight? How does this shit work? How can I find it out on my own? Don't direct me to a book. How do I figure it out? Help me to figure it out, which is why I offer the services. I help you figure it out. Who do I help to figure out? You. I'm helping you to figure you out. And everything I reveal is going like, oh, that was me. But now you understand yourself on a deeper level. Your consciousness advances because you understand yourself deeply. Internally, you understand yourself from the inside out. And you have the mathematics or the astrology or the numerology, the alchemy to verify it. It's verifiable. Your internal reality is verifiable within the stars. Let's go to intention. Intention, purpose, design, aim, or object. Will, wish, desire, that which is intended. And we always want to understand the differences. All these words mean something different. But we have previously looked up what wish and desire was, and we learned that it was connected to the constellations. Desire, the constellations, we learned that desire connects you to the constellations. So intention also connects you to the constellations. But the understanding of the constellations. So intention truly means the understanding of the constellations. And we know attention now means to stretch. So what are you stretching? Your understanding of the constellations. How do you stretch your understanding of the constellations? You have to give your attention to the intention. You see that? There was no way for me to make sense of that without explaining it just the way I did. Imagine if I would have said that without breaking it down. You must give attention to your intentions. What if I just would have said that and then connect you? Oh, this actually means this. You must stretch your imagination so that you can understand the constellations. And that's based off what the word really means. That's not me just saying that shit just to be fly. That's based off of what it actually means. Intention actually does mean desire, and desire means to meditate upon the stars. That's what it actually means. So that's not just me just saying it because it's a nice thing to say. That's based on etymology. That's based on the science of etymology. So when we rely on science, we don't have to make anything up. We're just speaking what's actually there. And that's how we're able to bring clarity. We don't have to make anything up. All we have to do is verify with mathematics and science. Use the science and use the mathematics to verify anything that we say. That's why we don't shy away from the math. We don't shy away from the science. We're not trying to stay away from anything, which is why I show you guys the news. So I'm not the one saying stay away from the news. I'm not the one saying everything is fake. I'm not telling any. I wasn't the one telling anybody to just fuck this. They're lying to us. I'm not the one talking about 5G. I was the one that told you before anything happened, put on your helmet. Shit is gonna get real. Separate yourself from the bullshit. I said that in the beginning of February. That's what I was saying, while everyone else was focused on madness. Whatever was relevant at that time. I was already putting everybody up on game, just releasing content after content after content. I'm already putting everybody up. This is what you're going to need to do anyway. So if you look at all the content I released in 2020, it's like the blueprint is already established. If you have been following along, you don't have to even go back before 2020, which is why I named the video the 2020 download, Nothing Matters Before This. I specifically named it that because you really don't have to go back any further, because we are in new territory now. So even if you just watch from that point on, so much was already revealed before anything popped off. And now that things are popping off, it seems to me like nothing I said was out of line. Seems like everything I was saying, everything is moving right towards what was being revealed, not away from it. It's not like some shit is happening that's completely opposite than what I said. It's actually right, exactly what I said. And I just proved it today. I just threw some people out. You just threw out some random, what the fuck, what's so special about April 13th, April 15th? Oh, you just throwing out random dates. But I just verified. Before anything popped off, I had already thrown out these dates, and historical events are taking place. Never before seen, never before occurred. So, I just wanted to verify, bring evidence, because there's no more time to bullshit, to make up anything, to say anything that cannot be verified. That's why I want to show you guys everything. I'm showing everything on the screen, verifying every single piece. So there's no room for error. Because we don't need to talk mysterious. We don't need to make up anything. All we need to do is rely on the mathematics and the science. When we rely on the mathematics and the science, it will not lead us astray. And that's that. So with that, if anyone has any questions, ask them now. We'll play another song, play another beat. So if you have any questions, ask them and we'll check out. Yeah. We're going to continue to show and improve. Bring it to multiple dimensions. Yeah, we coming like no other. Like, there is nothing to match this. I guarantee it. I guarantee there is no matching it. Because this is so many layers deep. But I'm not going to talk. I'm just going to continue to show and improve, right? Like, we don't have to talk anything. Let me answer this question. Yeah, what does it mean when crows circle you and fly into you? Yeah, that has happened to me before. It was like a gang of crows. You know, they didn't like that I was like intruding on their space, which I wasn't. I was literally just walking home. They just had made their home in the space that, you know, it's a public street. You know, it's no way for you to go around. Yeah, they was upset that I was even around, and yeah, they started flying into my ass, and it's like I ran into the house and I thought about it for a minute. I'm like, wait a minute. Did I just let these crows just have their way with me? So I went back with a weapon, and I was gonna, put in some work, but then they were gone. So obviously things like that is spiritual. The logos speaking to you. Whenever the crow appears, we know that the crow is associated with death. So then, not physically, the principle of death, the principle of transformation, the principle of shamanism. It's time to go into the darker chambers, because the crow is a master of death. The raven, the ore is purple, the energy of Saturn, the black and the purple. Saturn is all about heaviness and weight. Can you bear the weight of the world? What enables you to bear the weight of the world? How is that possible? Do you need to have super strength? Or is there another element that we are ignoring? Purple is the color of royalty. It's the color of protection. The energy of the crown chakra. When you open up the crown chakra, you are stimulating yourself to remember your cosmic origins. That energy that shoots out of the crown chakra connects you back to your origins, your star origins, just like a pyramid shooting the energy out to the stars, and also receiving the energy from the stars. So your crown chakra is your antenna to project and receive energies from the stars, in which you are connected with personally, which you can discover through astrology if you don't know. So once again, just wanted to make the point of showing and proving that everything that is said can be verified. Nothing that is said here is made up. Everything can be analyzed for yourself. You can do your own research and come to your own conclusion. Is this something worth listening to? Were my predictions right and exact? Was I completely off? You make up your own mind. And if I just so happen to be correct, then continue to give your attention to the intention and progress in your consciousness. And with that, I say peace. We out.